Just like to offer a big shout out to Touchdown Digital, the sponsor of this week's video.
Well, good morning everybody. Welcome back to another vlog. Today I've come back out to the Cathedral of Ferns and no rain this time. This is a little series of videos I'm doing on this most magnificent area here in the Blue Mountains called the Cathedral of Ferns. I'm actually standing in this rainforest now. We have a little bit of cloud above, no rain and no mist or fog, which is a bit disappointing, but that's what nature delivers us sometimes. So, but for people that watched the first video from a few days ago, you know that I was hammered by the weather. I had to give it away, and the weather was just too strong here. The rain was just torrential rain, and in the end it just got a bit too dangerous to photograph, actually, to be quite honest with you. But I'll make my way deep into this forest here, and I'll get to the first composition and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing here today, and then I'll pass on a few tips and hints that might help you if you're interested in photographing rainforests or getting involved in this type of photography. But a magnificent location this, and surrounded by these massive ferns here. Very quiet, a bit of wind, but the setting should be okay. So I'll get to the first composition. I'll turn this camera back on, and then I'll show you this, continue to show you this magnificent area called the Cathedral of Ferns in the Blue Mountains of New South Wales. Okay, I found my first composition. It's quite nice. It's still a bit dark here, but I will spin the camera around and show you what I'm photographing here. I have this bed of ferns here, which you'll see in a moment. I've got this beautiful fern that's sticking on top of this straight tree trunk of the fern. Look, I don't know what you call it, but it's absolutely magnificent. I really should know, but I don't, but I will certainly do my research on this particular plant. It's just incredible. Just waiting for the light. A little bit more light will help me here. But just a beautiful location, as I said, and I'll spin this camera around. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I might try and light it up with the light I do have here, and you'll see exactly this first composition. So yeah, we'll do that, and I'll get back to you shortly. Okay, that's what I'm looking at there. You can see I have all these ferns here. Be shooting straight through, and then up here we have this magnificent fern on top of this tree. So I think once the light lifts a little bit, that'll make for a very, very nice shot. Now, this is where, as I said, pays to have a good look around and look at what's around you. So that's what I'm photographing. Be photographing through here. Capture that really magnificent fern up here, straight through. I'll be shooting around about probably 16mm here because I want to get that in. But other than that, I'll take this shot and I will throw it up on the screen now so you can take a look. Okay, for this composition, you'll notice, if you look at this here, you'll see either side of those ferns over here, you'll see I have these two trees. Now this is where it's very important to use your eyes and look around. I'm using those two trees as a frame for the fern that's there. And I've got all this ground cover here. Quite a nice composition. So it just goes to show that you really need to look around and see what's around you here when you come to a location like this, because rainforest photography can be quite untidy and it's just a chaotic scene, but more about that in a moment. But that's the, I've just darkened the screen so you can see this image. That's the actual image that I've taken, and I'll put that up on the screen so you can take a look at it right now. Now, one of the things with this type of photography, with rainforest photography, as I said earlier, it's very chaotic, very, you know, very untidy. I liken it to the fact that this is Mother Nature's disorganised garage sale. This is like going into a garage sale that's very disorganised. You've got to wade your way through all the nondescript stuff to find that that gem in amongst all the chaos. So when you come out to an area like this, which it is chaotic, there's hundreds of things to photograph here, but they're not the things you really want to photograph. So I liken it to the fact that this is nature's disorganised garage sale. And when you think about that and then you come to a place like this, you'll understand what I mean. So it's just a very chaotic scene, but there are some fantastic compositions. I'm just looking to the one to the left here, and I'm using all this timber as natural frames here today, and that's a good thing. Always look for straight timber and make sure you've got something in the centre to draw the viewer's eye in. And I'm just looking at it now, and yeah, that should be quite a nice shot. I might have to put the camera down a bit low to do this one, but I'll show you that in a moment. But just remember, this type of photography, it's like Mother Nature's disorganised garage sale, where you've got to wade your way through all the stuff that you're not interested in to try and find that one hidden gem like I just did then. So keep that in mind when you come out to an area like this. So I'll frame up for the next shot. I'll get back to you very shortly. Okay, so here's the next image. As you can see, I'm using these tree trunks as a border, and with a lot of landscape photography, you tend to try and keep the scene uncluttered, but you've got to, what I'm trying to do is to show you that rainforests are just everywhere. They're just tree trunks and roots and branches and rocks and leaves. And I want to keep all this in here in the image, but right at the end there, you'll see this fern here, and that is the draw card for this image. That's going to draw a viewer's eye into the image. Remember, you're looking for a leading line straight through here, and you've got these trees here, the trunks of the trees as a border. This should make for a very nice shot. I'm around about 18 millimeters here on this one, ISO 100, and my settings are around about, it's f11, it's around about 15-second exposure. So that should be okay. Histogram's looking all right, I've checked that. So this should make for a very nice shot. I'll take this one and I'll put it up on the screen so you can take a look at it. Okay, just by walking around this little part of the Cathedral of Ferns here, I've come across this, and I'll turn the camera around, and this is what I mean by just looking around and looking for different compositions. As I said, this is a disorganised Mother Nature's garage sale, and you really, you just stumble across these magnificent features of these places. As you can see, I'm all in these ferns here, but I'll turn this camera around and I'll show you exactly what I'm about to photograph. It's really quite exquisite, really. Is that the word I'm looking for? But I'll turn it around and I'll show you exactly what I've got. Okay, so as you can see there, I've got this branch here, and I've got all this stuff happening here, all around there, very green, beautiful. Little bit of a breeze, but that won't be a problem. But as you can see, I'm set up this way here. Just a magnificent place. I mean, you never get sick and tired of coming to these areas, but this will be the image all through there. You've got all this vines happening and all this over here. Got this here, I don't know about that. I think I'll leave that in. I think I'll just leave everything in, because it's no use trying to cut things out in this type of photography, because you're trying to show people what an actual rainforest is like, and this is exactly what it's like. So I'll take this one and then I'll put that up on the screen so you can take a look. Now people often say to me, Glenn, when should I take a shot in portrait mode? Well, straight after you do the landscape orientation. So if you do your landscape orientation shot, then you invert the camera lengthways, length of your tripod, and that's what we call the portrait orientation. So straight after you do the landscape shot, you invert the camera into portrait orientation and take that shot as well. Now this next image that I've just taken, absolutely fantastic, and I'll turn this camera around so you can have a look at it. It is just absolutely gorgeous. Plenty of greenery here. I've got ferns on the floor, forest floor, and we've got this palm here, which I just love these palms, the way they're, way nature has designed these things. It's just incredible, unbelievable. I'll turn this around and I'll show you exactly what I just photographed. So you've got all these ferns here, and you've got this one here, and it spreads out at the top like a canopy. So camera in the portrait orientation, straight through. I've got the fern here just adjacent to the left, not in the middle of the image, because I wanted some detail down here. That will make for a very nice shot. So I'll put that up on the screen and you can take a look at that one. Another thing you want to take into consideration is the actual slope. Now, sloping scenes like this, and I'll turn this camera around and show you, can be very problematic because everything seems to be leaning towards the right here, or to my right. But I'll turn this camera around and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Yes, so be very, very careful when you come out to an area where, it doesn't matter where you are, but sloping sites can be very problematic. Getting your levels right, getting your tripod level, and also making sure that the image is in a line. So I'll just turn around and I'll show you what I mean by a sloping site, which can be problematic. It doesn't matter where you are with your landscape or seascape photography, it doesn't matter. Sloping sites can be a bit of an issue. I'll turn this one around, I'll show you. As you can see, it's running down this way. So as you can see, I've got the camera down low here and I'm photographing through there. Now I'll put that up on the screen so you can take a look in a moment, but sloping sites, very problematic. Now also too, if you're on a tripod, which I suggest you are, and I'm in very, very soft ground here, and I've got my spikes into the ground here, as you can see. Now, what you don't want to do is when you are shooting with long exposures on your tripod, while the exposure is taking place, you don't want to be walking around your tripod, because what happens is vibration in the ground will transfer up through the legs of the tripod into your camera and you could get a soft image. So don't walk around the back of your tripod when you're doing your exposure, because that can be also problematic for you. So push the shutter button and remain very, very still. Don't walk around behind the tripod because you could introduce vibration through the ground, especially if it's soft ground like this, and you'll end up with a very soft image, which isn't really ideal. So just a few tips and hints there. I'll take a few more and then I'll get back to you at the end of it. Okay, just as a side note, you'll be able to see that sign there. This tree was struck by lightning in 2008, which is this big monstrosity of a tree here. It got absolutely smashed by a lightning strike, would you believe it? And it virtually split it in half. The power of nature is just mind-boggling really when you think about it. So yeah, it was hit in 2008, and you can see some of the branches of that tree have come down there, over here. Yeah, she was hit pretty hard in 2008. It's a shame because of the beautiful tree. So these are things you find when you come through areas like this, you know, I mean, just a gorgeous place to photograph really. Got some pretty good images, so, but I might take a couple more and see what's here and put them up on the screen, and I'll get back to you at the end of it. Okay, I found probably one of the best compositions of the morning. It usually happens when you're just about to leave an area, and that's what I mean by saying just keep on looking around. And I'll turn this camera around and I'll show you. This is just an exquisite sort of branch. And I'm shooting it, well, I've actually shot it in landscape orientation, but also portrait orientation. It seems to look better in portrait orientation. I'll turn the camera around and I'll just show you where I'm looking at. All these twisted branches, back for the perspective. As you can see, there it is there, straight through there. In portrait orientation, works much better. You can have a look. It's just really, really good. This will be a nice shot. See if I can darken the screen a bit for you. It's about as good as I'll get it. So that's the actual shot there. I've got all these ferns down the bottom. Always include foreground, and then leading up into that twisted nightmare there. Once again, Mother's disorganised garage sale in nature. You can't beat it. It's just fantastic. So that's the shot there. I'll take that and I'll put it up on the screen. And I'll take two. Well, that's it for this video series here in the Cathedral of Ferns at Mount Irvine. Just a superb place. Now, a few takeaways from this this series. When you come to an area like this, make sure you have a good look around. Have your camera on a solid tripod, preferably with spikes, because you want to dig into the ground here. If you do come to areas like this, just stick to the tracks. Be very careful of walking off the tracks. This is a very sensitive area, without a doubt, and you have to look after it. So if you do come here, a bit of a word of warning: if you're coming out here of a night and you're driving along Mount Irvine Road, like I was this morning around about 5 o'clock, so it's still dark, be careful of the wildlife, because I've seen, in a space of about 2.5 kilometres, I've seen 3 of the biggest kangaroos I've ever seen in my life, and 2 of the biggest wombats I've ever seen in my life. So just be very, very careful when you're driving out here, especially of a night. As I said, the road's good. The Mount Irvine Road's good leading to the ferns here. Very narrow but very windy, so please take care. When you do get to a location like this, remember, it's Mother Nature's untidy garage sale. You have to weed your way through all the stuff you're not interested in to find those hidden gems in amongst the forest. So it's Mother Nature's untidy garage sale. So, but basically, yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed what I've brought to you in these last 2 videos in this area. Just absolutely gorgeous part of the world, and I feel very lucky to be able to come here, and I don't live very far from here. I'm very lucky to be able to photograph this area for you to have a look at. Even if you can't come here, I hope I've brought some pleasure to you through these images and these 2 videos. So that's it for another episode of Sniper Photography. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, look, until the next time, I want you to take care, and as I always say, be nice to yourself, family and friends, but most of all, you keep smiling, keep shooting. Bye for now.